This segment's all about exit planning. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses and practices, and to leave a legacy. Joining me on this segment is exit planner Tim Whelan. Tim, welcome to the program.
Mark, thanks for having me.
Tim, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping?
So I think before we even dive into it, I think there's a few stats that are pretty interesting. So you have this massive wealth transfer, probably the biggest wealth transfer in human history, where boomer business owners are going to be exiting their businesses and they're going to be transferring those businesses either to a third party seller, to their children, to their employees. There's all sorts of different options. There are probably estimated 2.3 million businesses that are going to be selling, owned by the baby boomers that are going to be transitioning. But there are a few interesting stats that I think really raise the need for formal exit planning. So 66% of owners, this was a study done by Exit Planning Institute, EPI. 66% of owners indicated that they didn't know all their exit options when they were given those options. 83% of owners had no written exit plan. And then 49% of those surveyed actually had no transition plan at all, no formal transition plan whatsoever. And one of the things that I learned when I was talking with one of the connections that I have in the M&A space is that out of the number of businesses that go to market, that get listed for sale any given year, 4 out of 5 of those never make it to the closing table. And often it has to do with owners having unrealistic expectations of what their business would sell for or what that process would look like. And so who do we help? We help small business owners have a plan and go through the process in a way that their eyes are wide open to what they're doing, so they know what kind of a realistic valuation that they should be looking for, what life looks like after the business, and how to make sure that they're prepared financially and otherwise to actually go through the sale. So does that answer your question, Mark?
Sure does. Do these business owners put much thought into exiting their business? What are their preconceived notions in their mind?
So small business owners have often given their lives to building these businesses, and you don't often give thought to your last day. So you don't give thought to, what is it going to look like when I move on from here? And sometimes it's just psychologically it's a fear of, what I don't even want to think about what my life would be if I didn't have this business to come to. And then oftentimes it's, there's a lot of problems to solve. There are a lot of issues to deal with, and exiting the business is really not on the forefront of anybody's mind.
So, how many of these folks even realize what it's like to work with an exit planner? Do they know what it's about? Can you kind of unpack that for us a little and tell us what it's like working with an exit planning advisor, and what are the areas that you come in and help them with?
So owners are going to experience this in different ways, and really any exit planner has to acknowledge their limitations, because true, good, solid exit planning is going to be a team effort. So there's no way that I'm going to come into a situation and be the sole exit planning touch point for any business owner. You're going to need to have a full team. You've got to have somebody on the financial side. You've got to have somebody on the legal side. You've got somebody on the tax side. All of these things are going to be coming together. The broker, the M&A advisor, all of these pieces need to work together, and you need to have a plan that ties together what we call the 3 legs of the stool. So that would be your financial, like your personal financial situation, and then your business, and then your personal. So you've got your business, you've got the personal financial, and then you've also got your life. What are you going to be doing when you exit your business? How are you going to spend all that time that you've been pouring into the business, waking up at 6 a.m. for 25 years? I hear many people talk about. So you need to have a full team that's going to be able to address those issues so that you can really dig into what does my next chapter look like? Am I ready financially to do this? For the business, is the business ready to transition? Are we legally set up to do that? Are we set up to do that from a financial perspective? So exit planning is a team sport. And so oftentimes people have a CPA that they trust or a financial advisor that they trust. But oftentimes that person is somebody that they're thinking is going to walk them through the exit process, but might not have a whole lot of experience in the exit process. So what we'd encourage owners to do is contact somebody like us, an exit planning advisor, to help them to build their team. Oftentimes what that'll look like is, we'll put their CPA on the team, we'll put their attorney on the team, and work together to create a plan. But sometimes it involves actually replacing a member on the team. Maybe it was kind of an early connection, a friendship, but the attorney's not really positioned well to serve that role if they're going to sell a company for $5 million, for instance. So it's about surrounding yourself with a team that can play all these roles and help you walk through the process.
Tim, what inspired you to get into this field and help business owners with their exit plans? How did you get started?
So I've always kind of had a romanticized idea of the American entrepreneur, the self-made person that created whatever it is, the good, the service that they sell. And in many ways, I'm kind of a wannabe in that I've always kind of had this dream of being a part of that process. But I found that my skill set is not in hey, I'm going to start a brand new service that nobody's heard about, and I'm going to build it from the ground up, or I'm going to take over this massive manufacturing company and grow it to 10x. I realize that's not my skill set, but what I can do is I can speak into people's personal financial situation and into their personal situation, making sure to connect those areas and how that relates to the business. And so it became a passion of mine as we were working. Our group works with a lot of business owners doing insurance, employee benefits, financial planning. And I wanted to be able to speak into the exit process because I started to hear these stats on what business owners were facing. And really the stats are kind of bleak. And so I wanted to be able to speak into the situation, to be proactive so that there was less pain for the people in our world. And that's how I got into exit planning.
Tim, before I ask you my last question, is there anything in regards to exit planning that I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with business owners?
Here's what I'll say. Exit planning itself, even the term, it really has a lot of emphasis on that end point. And that's the point that owners often don't want to think about, don't want to engage with, because that's kind of, hey, that's when the game's over. That's the point that's not as fun. It's more fun to think about how to grow the business, how to grow the brand. And so I like to say that good exit planning is simply good business planning. So let's say that you are going to be exiting your business in 3 years. Well, it's go time. You need to start now to prepare to exit in 3 years. If you're going to do it well and on your terms and at a good sale price, you've got to start really putting all the pieces together to make sure you can do that. But let's say that your exit is 25 years from now. All the things we do to prepare a business to sell are actually good business strategy pieces that help an owner to do more of what they do best, remove themselves from the details and the intricacies of the business so that it's more transferable. All the things that you do to make a business more transferable are things that make for a better business and a business that owners will actually enjoy more. In fact, I'll give this anecdote. One of the people that we were working with was going through the process and actually discovered through going through the process that they actually were re-energized to plug back into the business and do it in a way that allowed them to do more of what they loved and delegate the things that they didn't. And by going through that process, they actually probably added another 5 or 10 years onto their runway just by being more intentional about how to set up their business to be more transferable. So oftentimes good exit planning can lead to, a longer runway and a more successful, more happy business owner. So I think that misnomer would be the one thing I'd add. Exit planning isn't just about exiting now. It's about how do I set up my business to be transferable.
Sage advice. Tim, for business owners listening who would love to speak with you and connect, how do they find you?
I think the best way to find me would just be to shoot me a call on my cell phone. My number is 517-230-8985. And what I'll do there is I'll just send you a link to my calendar. Reach out to me, shoot me a text, or give me a call. I'll shoot you a link to my calendar, and we can set up an introductory consultation to figure out what you need, what team you have in place, and how we could work together.
Tim, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thanks, Mark.
That was Tim Whelan, an exit planning advisor, and this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.